Hello everyone, this is Tejashwini Gada. In today's session, let's try to understand about the gratuity and the exemption which is provided for the gratuity under Income Tax Act 1961. Okay, first of all, the concept of gratuity is coming under the head income from salaries. And with regarding to this gratuity, when are you going to receive this? You can receive this is a part of the compensation, that is a part of the salary which is given by the employer to employee for work in his organization in the terms of employment. Okay, it's just that one of the income which is received, one of the head. Okay, whenever the gratuity is being received, suppose you're receiving 10 lakh rupees as gratuity, you are going to get the exemption under section 10 subsection 10 to a certain extent. Suppose if it is for 6 lakh, you are going to make 4 lakh rupees as taxable. Now our point of discussion would be with regarding to that exemption which is received to that extent of 6 lakh in my example. This exemption under section 10 subsection 10 is being explaining the exemption which is received for gratuity. Clear? Now gratuity can be two times, that is received during service and received at the time of retirement or death. If you received the gratuity during the service, it is going to be what? It is going to be fully taxable. Gratuity received during service being the one point, and gratuity received at the time of retirement or death being another point. If you are receiving during the terms of employment or during the services of employment, every rupee is going to be taxable irrespective of the employees, whether it is a government employee, non-government employee. Received during services, gratuity, this is a very important point. Received during services, it is going to be what? It's going to be exempted. Now, if it is received at the time of retirement or death, for that matter, let's consider yes, received it at the time of retirement. For government employee, lucky people for life, they are going to have full exemption. If they have received a 10 lakh, entire 10 lakh would have been the exemption. So the your taxable gratuity would have been zero. Government employee, it is going to be fully exempted. But for other employees, you have to look into two criteria over here. One is covered under POGA and one is not covered under POGA. What is it? One is covered under POGA and another one not covered under POGA. What is meant by POGA? Payment of Gratuity Act 1972, if it is being covered. That is, if the employer is covered under the Act of Payment of Gratuity Act 1972, then the employee who is receiving that gratuity would get an exemption to certain extent. Exemption to what extent? The least of the following would be exempted. See, least of the following is exempted. That is, one, the maximum statutory limit which is being received is 20 lakh rupees, or the actual gratuity received. In my example, the actual gratuity received was 10 lakh rupees. Let's try to calculate the exemption available. Okay. It's going to be 10 lakh. Then, no. Actual gratuity received is 10 lakh. 20 lakh being the higher, that is the statutory limit, which is provided by the Act. 20 lakh is the maximum that you can take. Now comes the next point wherein the exemption being claimed is 15 by 26 last drawn salary completed year of service. What does it mean? Let's try to understand very slowly. We'll keep these two as comparison people. That is one for POGA and one for non-POGA. Not covered under the Payment of Gratuity Act. If the employer is not covered under the Payment of Gratuity Act, then you are going to get what? Then you have to take this point, or you have to take this as an this 2 point into consideration, whether the employer is covered under POGA or not covered under POGA. Covered under POGA, you can take exemption under this. Not covered under POGA, you can take exemption under this. That is, least of the following would be exempted. 20 lakh being the same criteria here. Actual gratuity received being the same criteria here. But if you can observe something carefully, here it is 15 by 26 and here it is 1 by 2. What does this point of 15 by 26 represents over here is that, see, 15 by 26, this 26, what they are considering is that this is the total number of days in a month as per the Act. That is, there are 30 days. No? Out of that 30 days, they are removing 4 Sundays. If you remove 4 Sundays, taking 30 days as an average total number of days, if you remove these 4 days, you are going to get 26 days for that matter. What you are going to get? 26 days. This 26 days shall be considered as the total number of days for the purpose of gratuity. Clear? 26 days being the denominator, that is the total number of days. Out of that, 15 days. 15 days out of the total 26 days is what I've been considering. Why are we looking into that aspect? We will understand very soon after we take the numbers as an example. As of now, let's have the patience. First of all, 15 by 26 is nothing but the out of total number of days as per the act being 26, 15 days you are going to consider. Clear? See here, for non-POGA, you are considering 1 by 2. What does this 1 by 2? Can I say simply it means 15 by 30? If you simplify, you will get 1 by 2. They are considering 1 by 2 over here. That is as per non-POGA. That is where the act is not backing up the gratuity over here. They are considering total number of days as 30 only. They are not considering total number of days as 26. Clear, everyone? We are just considering the total number of days as 15 by 30. That is 1 by 2. Well, now, see here, 1 by 2, that is multiplied by salary and completed year of service. So, first of all, let's go slow. First, let's try to understand for POGA and then we'll go for non-POGA. Last drawn salary. People, for the purpose of salary, the salary definition in case of HRA, in case of gratuity, in case of leave encashment, wherever you see the term salary, it has that particular exemption section has its own salary definition. Okay, salary for the purpose of POGA, remember it is going to be basic plus DA both. Remember one thing very well, people, basic plus DA both. DA both. DA both means in terms plus not in terms. That is forming part of retirement benefit and not forming part of retirement benefits. Clear? DA will be classified as two terms. That is in terms forming part of retirement benefit, not in terms not forming part of retirement benefit. That is DA both you are going to consider for the purpose of calculation of salary POGA. Then one is basic and DA both. Remember, there is no turnover commission for salary definition under POGA. It is only basic plus DA both. After considering the basic plus DA both over here, it is going to be last drawn salary, people. That is basic plus DA both is nothing but salary definition we have understood over here. This is the salary. Correct? For POGA. Last drawn salary. Suppose you have been retired in the month of September. The last drawn salary for this purpose would be August, right? Immediately last drawn salary. If you have retired in Feb, the last drawn salary would have been in Jan. That's the point. That is last immediately, whichever salary has been drawn the month before your retirement. Last drawn salary. Okay. Completed year of service or part in excess of 6 months. That is how many years you have completed service with that respective employment, with that respective employer, multiplied by, that is plus or in excess of 6 months. What does it mean? Try to understand one point here. Okay. See, people, if I'm considering the point as a part in excess of 6 months, if it is, let's consider 15 years, 9 months. Part in excess of 6 months means if it is crossed 6 months, you're going to consider that as rounding off to the higher number, considering it as one entire year. Okay, that is going to be 16 years. Suppose if it is 15 years, 4 months, you will just consider it as 15 because it has not crossed 16. That is, it's not crossed in excess of 6 months. Now comes the question, what if it is exactly 15 years, 6 months? People, I told you part in excess of 6 months, no, not the part in excess of equal to or more than 6 months. So it is going to be rounding off to 16 only. 15 years, 6 months, 2 days. Now you will round it off to the 16 years because this is excess of 6 months, right? Clear? This is what we are speaking about, part in excess of 6 months. It means rounding off to the higher number or you're just keeping it as 15 years would be the consideration. If you observe something carefully over here, for non-POGA, you are ignoring the fraction. That is part in excess of 6 months is completely ignored. This is for POGA. If it is for non-POGA over here, taking the same example, whatever might be the number of completed year of service, you are just going to consider it as 15, 15, 15, 15 only. because you're going to ignore that point of 6 months in excess. You are just considering the completed year of service. Fractions are totally ignored. Clear? I hope everyone has understood with regarding to this point. Now, let's move forward. I told about POGA 15 by 26. Last drawn salary we have understood. Completed year of service or part in excess of 6 months is also totally fine. Great. Least of the following would be exempted for non POGA, that is 20 lakh actual gratuity receipt 1 by 2 into I've written as average of last 10 months salary. Okay, the concept of this average of last 10 months salary, let's try to understand this with an example here. This is the example for non POGA where there is any changes in salary definition. I told you, see, for the purpose of non-POGA, the salary definition would include basic plus DA plus turnover commission. It's going to be basic plus DA plus turnover commission. Basic plus DA, that too in terms, people remember this is going to be basic plus DA, basic plus DA, and this is going to be in terms, and it is going to be the turnover commission addition. Salary definition for the purpose of POGA is going to be this. Salary definition for the purpose of non-POGA, non-POGA is going to be this. I hope it is clear. DA in terms, turnover commission, basic salary, simple. Now, let's try to understand the average of last 10 months. First of all, let's calculate the salary of last 10 months. If you're getting retired in the month of October, September, and backwards 10 months. September, August, July, June, backwards 10 months you will go. If you're getting retired in the month of Feb, Jan, and backwards you'll go for 10 months. That is from April to Jan you are going to consider. Whichever month you're retiring, just before that, whichever month is there, you are going to consider 10 months salary. That is last 10 months. Last 10 months salary you are going to determine first, and then you are going to do the average. Done. If there is any changes in salary, let's consider for 8 months, that is before immediately, whatever the 10 months which is need to be considered for the purpose of calculation. 8 months salary, let's consider that fellow Mr. A was receiving 20,000 per month, and 2 months before his retirement he is receiving 24,000 per month. DA in terms whatever is receiving is 10,000 only for our information. If you multiply that and if you bring that to salary, add the DA, you are going to get 3,08,000. Clear? And if this 3,08,000 is going to be the salary of last 10 months. Do we want a salary of last 10 months of average of salary of last 10 months? We want average of salary of last 10 months, right? So 3,08,000 is the total. If you divide it by 10, you are going to get 30,800 as the average salary. People, calculation everyone understood. Everyone are going to understand this calculation. But try to understand the concept of average first so that we can apply this in this concept. Okay, this is the concept of average, averaging, not with regarding to only income tax. Wherever you see the concept of average, you can apply over there. Okay, let's take an example. Year 16, 17, 17, 18, 18, 19, 19, 20, 20, 21. Keeping it very simple, 5 years. Let's take an example of the salary, profit which the organization have earned is 50,000, 90,000, 32,000, 68,000, and 94,000. Okay, this is the salary being earned. If you do the totals of it, if you want to do the average, what you're going to do? You are going to take the totals of this. Please do it from your end also. So it's going to be 3,34,000 is the total profit which you have earned for a period of 5 years. If I want to do the average, what you're going to do? You're just going to divide it by the count, right? Divide it by count 5, you're going to get 66,800. You have done the calculation very well, fine people. But what does this 66,800 average profit means? What does it mean? It means if you're earning 66,800 per year for the 5 years for that matter, how much is the total that you're going to get? 3,34,000. 3,34,000 is what you're going to get. Clear? What you're going to get is 3,34,000. If you're going to get 3,34,000, it means 66,800 if you're earning every year, the total would be 3,34,000. That is what you have earned here. Can I say this 66,800 is for per annum? In a similar way, if you want to do the averaging of last 10 months over year, you have to take the total divided by the count 10 months. So what you're going to get is 30,800. This is nothing but the average salary per month. If you're earning 30,800 per month, multiplied by 10, you're going to get 3,08,000. That is 30,800 is the average salary of last 10 months. Every month you're going to earn 30,800 as average for the purpose of calculation. Clear? Now, this is the concept where there is changes in salary. Salary definition for non-POGA. Try to understand if there is no changes in the salary definition, that is last 10 months, basic and DA, whatever you have earned is the same. Every month you are going to get the same salary. That is 30,000 you are going to get in total every month. Okay. Suppose if I do the averaging concept of last 10 months over there, 20,000 into per month you're receiving into 10 months, 2 lakh. 10,000 into 10 months you're receiving 1 lakh. The total is going to be 3 lakh, right? 3 lakh divided by, for doing the concept of averaging, if you do it divided by 10, you're going to get 30,000 only, people. What I wanted to convey is that if there is no changes in the salary definition for non-POGA, you need not do that average of last 10 months calculation for provisions you have to write in your exam or wherever you are writing in your classwork. 30,000 calculation would not be necessary because your per month what you're earning would be same even if you do the averaging of last 10 months. Because you're going to multiply it by 10, divide it by 10. There is no such difference coming. The average of last 10 months, it is going to differ from your per month salary earned with the average whatever you have found. Only when there is changes in the salary of last 10 months, difference going backwards if you have any difference. I hope it is clear. Now, let's try to understand what we would do. That is 30,800 being the salary for the purpose of non-POGA. Clear? Well, so let's do one thing. Let's try to understand what would be the difference that you would get in case of POGA and non-POGA. Okay. Let's imagine and let's consider last drawn salary is also 30,800. Just an example, people. For the purpose of example, 30,800 is also the last drawn salary. The average of last 10 months is also 30,800 over year. Clear? So let's try to understand. 30,800 is going to be, let's try to understand what is the difference that you would get. 15 by 26 into last drawn salary, that is 30,800 multiplied by completed year of service. What is the completed year of service for the purpose of POGA? Here it is going to be, let's consider this for the purpose of POGA. 16 years. If you multiply it by 16, what does this calculation states is very simple. See, 30,800 is the, in my example, is the last drawn salary. Just an example. Last drawn salary, right? If you divide 30,800, suppose let's leave this 30,800 for a second. Let's consider 1 lakh rupees is your salary. Okay. If you divide it by 30, what you would get? 1 lakh rupees divided by 30, you would get 3,333. What does it state? 1 lakh rupees salary, if you're dividing by 30 days, this 3,333 rupees is for per day. That is salary of 1 day you're getting. Similarly, if you divide 30,800 divided by 26, 26 is the total number of days as per the act. So if you divide 30,800 divided by 26, how much would you get? You would get 1,184. This 1,184 is the salary for 1 day. If this is the case, if you multiply it by 15, that is the numerator by 15, how much would you get? You would get 17,000 You would get 17,769. What does it state? It states 30,800 if you divide by 26, it is the salary for one day. 15 days if you're multiplying, that is 15 days the salary is what you're going to get in this calculation. It means you are taking 15 days equivalent to salary for the purpose of exemption multiplied by total number of completed years of service over year. Multiplied by total number of years of service of that is total number of years of completion of service. In this case, they are going to give you advantage that is part in excess of 6 months, that is 16 years you are going to multiply. If you are going to multiply it by 16, you are going to get 2,84,307. Clear? Now try to understand the same point in your non-POGA also. Let's try to see what is the difference. So 30,800 1 by 2 into 30,800. 30,800 is the average salary in this point we have calculated. If you divide by 1 by 2, it is nothing but 30,800 divided by 30 multiplied by 15. Nothing but 15 days salary you are going to take equivalent. Clear? 30,800 divided by 30 if you do 1 day salary you would get. Multiplied by 15 you would get 15,000. You would get how much? 15,400. 399 400. This is a salary of 15 days equivalent for the purpose of non-POGA. Multiplied by number of years of service of completion of service. Here, as you have not covered under POGA, the Act is not going to give you any advantage with respect of fractions. Array, more number of year, the number of year being more, number of years being higher, the exemption which you would get also higher. No? More the exemption, less the taxable gratuity that you would get. In this case, as you have not covered under POGA, we are not going to give you any advantage with regarding to completion, that fraction. For that matter, if you want to take one entire year, complete that entire year is what they state. So now multiplied by 15 years, the exemption which you're getting over year is going to be how much, people? 2,30,999, that is 2,31,000. If you can observe something over here, everything being constant, last drawn salary being constant, and taking the provisions as per the Act, the exemption which you got as per POGA is going to be 2,84,307, and the exemption which you got over here is only 2,31,000. Can I say just because you have recovered under POGA, exemption which you are getting under this third point is higher, and as you are not getting covered under POGA, the exemption which you are claiming over here is less. Clear? This is the concept of what exemption that you would get under POGA and non-POGA. For the notes, you can get these notes in the Telegram channel. You can join over there, and this is the point of gratuity that is coming under the exemption 10 subsection